So, growing up and then working in the US, any challenges that you faced, which kind of
Plenty.
were like
I mean,
roadblocks and challenges, of course, not being a white and challenges being a woman?
I think those were just like every other non-white woman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was no different. Um, I growing up in our culture, you're taught certain things in terms of your role,
Yeah,
right? What is
yeah,
your traditional role as a woman, as an Indian woman, as a daughter, as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter-in-law. And of course, they're all good things. Nothing's bad about that. Um, and so I myself was like, okay, yeah, that's what I need to do. That is how I, need to be. And in work, at first you don't realize how much of all of that you bring in with you in terms of how you react to things, how you interact with men, and even interact with other women who are not Indian,
yeah.
um, or not or white, or even interacting with women who are white. I mean, it's you bring every unconscious bias with you when you meet somebody and when you're at work. And so unconscious biases are everything you learned, right? About seeing, just as an example, right? Walking down the street, and shamefully, when I was younger, of course, it's like if I saw sketchy looking people, not necessarily white, black, or anything, or brown, I would cross the street, right? Because I had an assumption, if you had tattoos and a torn t-shirt, you may not be so above board, right? So we all have these, I guess my point is, we all have these unconscious biases that we bring with us. And so that influences not only how people look at us, but how we respond and interact to other people.
Correct.
Um, and so as a woman, um, I was lucky to work for people who were always supportive of the whole working mother concept. I worked in a small firm, and my bosses were always just like, yep, you're a mom. You go do what you need to do to take care of your children. I worked for Johnson and Johnson for nearly 15 years, and um, they definitely delivered on what they promised, right? Working mother, advocate, advocate of the mother and child, and it pervaded in the culture. So in those ways, I was, I think, very lucky. And I always had bosses that were very understanding and flexible and allowed me to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
But there were times when, as a woman, you sit in a meeting and you're the one serving the cupcakes, or you're the one offering the tray of cookies around the table, and you
Yeah,
don't even realize it, right?
yeah.
You think you're just like, I was taught this is what you do when you're a kind person. So kindly, I'm going to pick up the food and pass it around to make sure everyone's eating, right? Those are the kinds of little things that you learn over time that as a woman in the workplace, you just don't do it
Yeah.
because people expect you to do it. And so they don't think of you as different. But if a man does that, he's thought to be extraordinary or this awesome person, right? Like it's like as a mom, if I'm sorry, my daughter has 103 fever. I have to take her to the doctor. Oh yeah, sure, go ahead. Do what you need to do. I'll talk to you later.
Mm.
If a guy said that, wow, that's awesome. That's so sweet of you to take that load off of your wife. You're so amazing. And you're just like, wait a minute. Like,
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
think my husband's colleagues were sitting there saying to him, that's so awesome of your wife. Like, take that load off of you. It just
No,
wasn't
no, never. Yeah.
back then, right? It may be different now. I haven't been in the corporate world for a good 10 years, but There were definitely things like that. And there was definitely, the mommy track. Um, there was never a daddy track really, because
Mhm.
it was just different. But, and it was okay. I mean, my choices were my choices. So me choosing to be the flexible, me choosing to be the parent who had the flexible schedule, that was fine with me. Me choosing to be home for dinner, when my husband was traveling on his work, I was happy to do it. I think the important thing here is that it was a choice. It wasn't something that I did out of obligation,
So
if
if
that
I
makes
may
sense.
interrupt, it was a choice because again, that's what we've been taught, that as we kind of, I think, just naturally make those choices or gravitate towards those choices because that's what we've been taught. That's what we have
Yeah,
seen, or rather we had seen. So we naturally gravitated towards, those choices and never felt that we were doing anything that was not right. Yeah.
that is true. That, again, that unconscious bias comes in,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
even to that.